Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and always good to see you in the studio with me, my friend Mario Lopez, the founder of the Border Group. How you doing, Mario?
Buenos dias. Good morning, Drew. Great to see
Buenos
you.
dias
Happy
to you
Friday.
too. Absolutely. You have some good weekend plans coming up for yourself?
Yes. There's finals of the professional team south of the border, the Sankeys. They get to the finals. I'm going to the game tonight, so excited that we have professional sports on both sides of the border.
Beautiful. You brought one of your very cool colleagues in the studio. We're honored to have him in, Rodolfo Farber, the president and CEO of Creative Builds Construction. Mario's been bragging about you for a long time, Rodolfo. So how long you guys known each other?
Probably over 20 years.
20
maybe.
years or so,
Yeah,
yes.
Rudy with friends of mine to college in Mexico, and then he came to the U.S., and we started hanging out when he arrived in San Diego. So both cultures, dual citizen, good guy, hard worker.
Beautiful. Rodolfo, talk about the business. What's the mission of your business?
Yes, so we're a general contractor based here in downtown San Diego. And we do both federal work as well as private, mainly in the commercial arena, no residential. We provide excellence and personalized service. We like to understand what the clients need, their processes, so we can bring clarity to the projects from start to completion, and with utmost safety and quality standards.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you were talking before the show started that you went to UC Berkeley, correct? Got a master's there?
I did my master's there.
And what was your master's in?
It was construction, engineering, and management.
Okay, very, very good. And I know you're very, very fond of your experiences at Cal. Did you go to any of the football games?
I did to a couple, big game, one of them. So it was very interesting.
Well,
yes.
Of course, that's a Stanford game, of course.
Correct.
Everyone wants to do that one. So I know something that's near and dear to your heart, as it is Mario's as well, is entrepreneurship. Talk about that.
Well, entrepreneurship, I pretty much, I want to say, had it since I was a child. I wanted to do that. It's something that you have, and regardless of the geographical or nation, I just wanted to start my own. And I enjoy construction. I enjoy the creativity behind it, and I figured, okay, I've specialized on that. With the background of Berkeley, decided to venture into San Diego. I think it's a wonderful experience to do it on your own. I think the independence and freedom that comes with it, as well as the accountability, it's a beautiful ride.
Yeah, I know it well since I'm an entrepreneur of my businesses. Mario knows it as well. You hit the nail on the head. There comes with some expense, a little bit, whether it's mental strain or not, because you turn around, you go, I guess that's the guy in the mirror I'm staring at that's responsible for my paycheck, right? In that aspect of it. But it comes from the satisfaction of it's you make the decisions, you work in collaboration with it. You said you had this entrepreneurial spirit as a kid. Where do you think they got that from?
I think it's learned a little bit from family, so it's a little bit nurture, but I think it comes with nature as well. I think there's a literature aspect. I think you can see things from the outside a little bit, being able to understand your strengths and weaknesses and work hard at your strengths, right? And recognizing your weaknesses so you can bring people in around you that can help you with that.
Right. And the key to any great CEO is surrounding themselves with people that are smarter than him or her, especially in this area. Mario, talk about the Border Group. You've been doing this for a while, and why is it so important for what your mission is? And of course, working with folks like Rodolfo.
Right. There's, smart people. There's a lot of talent on both sides of the border. And in the case of Rodolfo and his experience, entrepreneurship is very important for our community. Entrepreneurship is the heart, is the backbone of our economy on both sides of the border. And in the case of California, it's not that easy to be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of regulation. There's a lot of red tape when it comes specifically to the area of construction. And it takes a lot of, I think, courage to endeavor in the industry that Rodolfo's embarked in, and being able to have a firm for over 15 years means a lot. And if you think about San Diego and so much that we need still to be constructed, so much that need as far as infrastructure, housing, restaurants, developments, there's I think San Diego's going through a somewhat of a renaissance because there's a lot of major projects, right? From the Midway to things like that. I think it's very important for small businesses and for entrepreneurs to be part of those big projects, and not only for both private and public agencies to hire the usual suspects as far as firms, but the importance of creating this alliance between small businesses like Rodolfo and Creative Builds with the large companies. That's the best. And Rodolfo has experience with some of the federal programs, and he might like to mention that have helped businesses like him move ahead.
Yeah, before we get to that point, you're spot on that, Mario. Anybody who's spent any time understanding a local economy, whether it's a major metro like San Diego or you're out there in smaller areas, it's small business that absolutely runs it all. We know that. I'm not sure how many small businesses are in San Diego County. I hear numbers from 80,000 to 100,000 or something in between. But what they do to contribute to the local economy is huge. And I know that's something that's near and dear to your heart. Talk about that.
Yes, no, for sure. And, we try to even focus more locally, talking of the support we've been having, for example, on the federal level with, SBA, Small Business Administration, has been great. And for some kind of background and context, when you talk SBA and you talk small business, you're talking, companies that, for example, in my end, to be small, you still need to have revenue below 45 million. So you're talking, it's not us, but, mom and pops.
Right.
So but we still need the help, so that's something that the federal government provides very well. And I really think that Small Business Administration is a great resource for local, entrepreneurs as well. Never forget that. There's a lot there.
Yeah, and I think the importance of it is, and like you who had the entrepreneurship bug, so to speak, probably Mario did too, at a young age. And here's what you learn along the road. And if you know anything about entrepreneurs, is that we're resilient. We don't let a stumble stop us. We skin our knee, we get back up, and so forth. Talk about how important that is, resilience.
Well, resilience is like a muscle, right? It's just, the muscle of taking risks. How can you get there? And it's through practice. As you go to the gym, you do the same thing with your mind. Have a support system in place in every single sense, physical, mental, be as clear as possible in your message. It takes time, but I really think it's just working that muscle. And resilience is a great thing. I think it's a combination of nurture and nature, So if you have it, great. If you don't, work at it.
Yeah, exactly. We're chatting with Rodolfo Farber. He's the president and CEO of Creator Builds Construction, joined by his colleague Mario Lopez, founder of the Border Group. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 19th year, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in our region, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's art, whether it's Alzheimer's or food insecurity. They're shoulder to shoulder on this. Talk about how the SBA, before we get to the mentor protege program, but talk about how SBA really helped your company, Rodolfo.
Yeah, SBA is it's a great program as far as they have several certifications, and there's a plethora you can choose from. So I would say even from small business to a little bit more specific ones. But the main thing that I think I've learned from SBA is their requirements, which could be at the beginning, tough, etc. But the main thing is to get from that survival mode to thriving mode. Understanding their processes, which are sophisticated, once you start dealing with the clients. But I found it to be a joyride with some interesting process in between. But that's the main thing: survival to thriving. I think that's the main goal.
Right. There's no question about it. We're chatting with, again, Rodolfo Farber, President and CEO of Creative Builds, joined by his colleague Mario Lopez, founder of the Border Group. When we come back from break, Mario and Rodolfo, I want to talk a little about the SBA Protege, Mentor Protege programs in this aspect of it. And obviously in the field you're in, Rodolfo, safety is job one through 2000 probably, and then there's in 2001 and that aspect of it. And then think about, what we can do to support what you're doing, support entrepreneurs. Mario, of course, anytime we can elevate the Border Group, we're happy to do that when we come back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We're the nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 60 plus years of doing great things for people living in the San Diego region. So pleased to have back on the air Mario Lopez. He's the founder of the Border Group and joined by his colleague, Rodolfo Farber, President and CEO of Creative Builds. Construction entrepreneurship is in his DNA and has been since he was born in that aspect of it. Rodolfo, talk about the SBA Mentor Protege programs.
So it's a very interesting program, and I think it's probably the best in the nation. There's different agencies that can provide that. And I really think the most important thing about this program from SBA, again, SBA Mentor Protege, is that you are able to partner up with and create joint ventures with large firms, being small. And that allows you to actually get contracts that are set aside for small. The best way about that is that, or how we can learn as entrepreneurs as well as business owners, is by practice. So once you have a contract in place, that's how you actually learn, right? And then it's a clear path to be able to check in with the mentor, see what we're doing well, what we're not, and how can we fix it, right? And that stays with you in the company.
Right. So for someone that, and you can jump in on this too, Mario, that, listen, I think this is great, but that's fine for someone who has started a business. For someone who's just sitting there going, you know what, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, okay? I currently work for ABC, Rivets or whatever the case may be, but I always wanted to do X. Where do they turn to? Who do they get a hold of to say, am I going down the right path? Do they get a hold of you? Do they get a hold of SBA? Or are there other groups they can talk to?
Yeah, I mean, there's the SCORE is a good program.
Right.
SCORE is good to start, and don't be afraid to ask and understand where you're at your level, right? You go to SCORE and you think, I'm learning already something that I knew. I'm going to jump to SBA, right? And then from there, see what you get. And of course, you're more than welcome to contact me anytime, and we can maybe chat about it. Ideally, the relationship that we have as a mentor protege right now, we have one standing relationship in which we have a mentor. We're the protege at this point. I would love to be a mentor someday, but it takes that.
Right. And, Mario, you know this as well. There's nothing better than when you're starting a business, the Border Group or whatever the case may be, Rodolfo with Creative Builds Construction, is to have people out there that want to embrace you,
Right.
they want to encourage you, want to be honest with you, and
Yeah.
say maybe you're not. This is the path you may want to take a look at. Talk about how important that is for
Yeah,
you.
having mentors, both personal, professional, and then business, is very important throughout life, and that's something that we would recommend for anyone who's thinking about, stepping out and going out on a limb, certain say. But looking at the data right now, you talked about how important this is for the region. There's
Right.
about 380,000 small businesses according to the San Diego County Register. Okay, 290,000 of them are self-employed. They don't have employees, and about 75,000 have less than 20 employees. So it's hard. That means most of us are individuals with no real employees, being out there. So, there are firms that are larger than 100 to 500. There's less than 2,000 in San Diego County. So this talks about the challenges about, being an entrepreneur. But as Rudy mentioned, there's a lot of resources out there. Small Business Administration has different level of resources for the different types of industries you're in. And, we're trying to do this also with the state. We're actually working with a local Assemblyman David Alvarez, to see if we can come out with a California version of the mentorship program, so that certain government agencies set aside contract for small businesses, and you can align yourself with a bigger company. Because, there's a lot of public agencies. California is a big state with a lot of state dollars going throughout different types of projects. And it's very difficult to bridge that gap as a small business owner to getting some of those contracts. But if there would be a mentorship program based on the success of the SBA, then you have access. And as Rudy mentioned, you learn by having contracts. This is not something you go to school. This isn't something you learn on a course or in a workshop. The way you better learn is by practice.
Right. And again, it's an age-old thing. I remember when I was working for the newspaper, I was on the business side, but I was a journalist a zillion years ago on the sports side. And I remember, chatting with the colleagues and go, how do I break into a major daily? You need 5 years of experience. Well, how do I get 5 years of experience if no one's going to hire me, for God's sake, on this? And eventually a lot of my colleagues at the papers I was working for up in North County because we were a pretty strong paper, got hired by the Union Tribune on that side. Probably the same thing in your world too, is that, you just got to get started, and you got to have people supported them to how they can start their business. Correct, Rodolfo?
100%. You got to knock on doors, and every time, 10 close, one opens. And if not, you got to knock it next week, right?
Right.
Every day when you start, how can I get one contract this week today, or a phone call for a meeting, or, a bid sent? It takes that. Every day. Something that may sound impossible, it's got to be possible.
Yeah, exactly. So talk about, safety projects, that are very, very important to you, and how that ties into the private business and also government.
Of course. One of the reasons of actually starting, we do a lot of federal work as well, and that has been a great learning experience for us. How the emphasis they put into safety, and being able to bring that to the private work we do as well. And, how they take care of the humanity of it, right? It's very important. First thing is safety. And it's a value we share. I love that.
Especially in your business.
Yes.
Well, everyone's business for that matter. Not that Mario doesn't care about safety as well, but especially what you folks are doing. Talk about some of the challenges with California regulations and specs. From what you do, are they any more rigorous than other states?
My understanding is they are. We're doing some work in Arizona as well. And yes, California is let's say, more intricate, right? But so it's just a little bit of, what I've seen is we struggle as both businesses, but even the clients do as well. Some of the projects that we do for the clients, they're trying to, figure out the maze for funding, for the permits, etc. And it's really tough to explain to the client that it's really not us, right? It's not them. It's the regulations behind it. So there's some work to be done there for sure.
Yeah, does that mean working closely with Mario mentioned this assembly person that can help us some different areas and all that business, but working with some of the local elected officials to say, hey, listen, we understand regulations, and California is very environmentally strong. With that comes regulations. Get it, but there can be something that is have we overreached on it? Do you think we have, in some cases, overreached with too many regulations?
I believe so. Not being an expert, just on the experience, on the practice side.
Right.
I believe so. Just timing of it. As an entrepreneur, funds are limited. So anything that takes longer for permits, anything that takes longer for inspections, anything that we feel may be an overreach, it's a lot for a small business. We work with entrepreneurs as we did ourselves. And we've seen that through the years, and I don't think it's changed.
Right, exactly. Rodolfo Farber, we're chatting with. He's the president and CEO of the Creative Builds Construction Company, joined by his colleague Mario Lopez, founder of the Border Group. I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by the very, very cool people of Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, doing great things in San Diego County. I'll start with you on this, Rodolfo, and then pivot over to Mario. I was an intern when I was going to college, and so then they hired me. And that's how that should work. And then I worked as a sports writer and columnist from the group that hired me. Talk about the internships. It's so critical.
Yes. And the internships that we have in place, what we're doing right now is, any intern that comes to the company normally starts working with me. So I understand, what they want, their objectives. I handhold them a little bit, eventually to let them,
spread their wings
a little bit. And the main thing we're focusing right now as an entrepreneur, from the entrepreneurial side, is looking at different ventures. And that's what I do, because I really, want to separate the operation side of the construction company with my entrepreneurial spirit. So whoever joins as an intern, I'm trying to get them into these new ideas and ventures. Being able to understand what the younger generation wants and needs as well, and being open-minded. So it's pretty interesting.
Right, exactly. Mario, do you work with interns at all in your
I currently I do not, but I was an intern as well as soon as I got out of college at Sandag, which is a local planning agency, and it just opened my world. I mean, it just really, and they ended up hiring me. So internship is a very important part of your formation. And as Rudy mentioned, a lot of people who become entrepreneurs like ourselves, we first start in companies. So we first start working for professional firms where you learn sort of the ropes, and then you figure out, man, maybe I can do this on my own. So that's an important part. Internships are important, and I'm glad that Rudy mentioned that, because now that he has this program, there's more talent coming in, right? And students, and as you know, here around Cloudcast, there's a lot of talents in students.
Yeah, I know it's sort of certainly in the ethos of Charles Parisi, our founder and CEO of Cloudcast Media. So we don't call them internships here. Charles calls them curiosity ships. Anyone knows Charles, he can't call everything by the way it should be. We're going to come up with an acronym or something different name to it. And of course, that is so true. Brandon Joe, associate producer of my show and others. He'll be an incoming senior at UC San Diego. Sophia Lee is doing some associate producing, also as a co-hosting a show on her own with a colleague. She'll be at UC Berkeley. And hopefully those experiences for both Brandon and for Sophia that they learn on this podcast, how to manage time, deadlines, and all this business are going to play very, very well for what they're doing as they move into the future. Start with you on this, Mario, then pivot over to Rodolfo. What can we do? What can our listeners do on the Spotlight Show to support the Border Group?
For us, is being able to connect. Through the first interview that I got, that was very helpful, because a lot of people understood sort of the context and where we work with, which is the Cali Baja region,
right?
Including Charles Parisi, the founder, who's now a Cali Baja nut. So that's good. So, communication is important. That's what I thought. Rudy, coming in and sharing Rodolfo's vision and how his experience could help others. It's about inspiring others to do the same and creating more business. And at the end of the day, is getting contracts. What we need of all these, 390,000 small businesses we have in the county, everyone's looking to get another contract. So the more we work together, the better we'll be.
And better for the economy.
Right.
So Rodolfo, really appreciate your thoughts and all this. And I know you want to make sure that folks listening invite local companies to hire more small business companies. You really want to encourage people to enter the SBA mentor programs. What else can we do for you?
Yeah, just please keep us in mind. Creative builds construction, but at the same time, we're always looking for. We're a great quality general contractor. We're looking for great quality clients, relationship based. We stay local, and we're in downtown San Diego. We're very creative, and thank you for the opportunity. It's a great chat.
Yeah, how do they get a hold of you? What's the website?
CreativeBuildsUSA.com.
Very, very good. Rodolfo, thank you so much for joining us. Rodolfo Farber, President and CEO of Creative Builds Construction, joined by your colleague. Always good to see you in the studio, Mario Lopez, founder of the Border Group, wishing both of you nothing but great success moving forward.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you very
weekend.
much.
Absolutely. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.